Hi everyone, today's video is all about money. It's going to be a big rant about the frustrations with trying to deal with government departments, a little bit of other frustrations to do with money things, and a little bit of a plan, so it's not all doom and gloom. If you've been to my channel before, you'll know the situation my husband Warren is in. He has mantle cell lymphoma, which means he's having a series of chemotherapy over a few months, and as a consequence he can't work, and we have had to sign on for some benefits. So I'll start with that. We did get accepted for universal credit and we got our first payment last month. Universal Credit asked us to send in a fit note for Warren, or what we used to call a sick note, but is now called a fit note, to say that obviously because of the situation he's in, he can't work, which we did. The Universal Credit accepted that. And then they sent us a form to fill in called a UC50, which is to do with limited capability for work, and you send that off to the Centre for Health and Disability, and they assess it and decide whether you need to look for work or whether you're not able to look for work, that kind of thing. And I'm not sure whether you get a little bit more money on top of your universal credit with that, and I think it means that you don't have to keep putting fit notes in. I think I talked a little bit about this on my last update, where we'd given the form to the GP to sign and fill in, and it took them 2.5 weeks to get it back to us. There was a deadline for getting this form in. So we did post that off 10 days before the deadline and just assumed that it was being dealt with. So that was I think that was around the 18th of August when I posted that. Now we hadn't heard anything. As I'm recording this, and I'm probably putting it up the same day, it's the 20th of September, so that was about 4 weeks ago. Warren rang them up yesterday just to check that they had the form, and we were told that the form had been received after the deadline, which I think was the 28th of August, and therefore had been sent back to Universal Credit. Now, if the deadline was the 28th of August, they said they sent it back to Universal Credit on the 28th of August without dealing with it because it was after the deadline, which was the 28th of August. So I don't understand that part. So I could feel myself sinking then when it was just, there's been a few things or a couple of things over the last week, and that was just the last straw for us. And I broke down and I was sobbing and I was just so frustrated. You know, Warren has cancer, that should be our priority, but I'm really more stressed about the financial situation and dealing with these people. Earlier in the week, just to go off on a little tangent, our car failed its MOT and it needed about £700 worth of work done. Now, the car wasn't even worth that. Warren used to use it for work as a painter and decorator. As he is no longer doing that job, we don't particularly need the car, apart from getting to and from hospital appointments. We can get help from the NHS, I think, getting transport to and from hospital appointments. But my son and my daughter both have cars and they're happy to ferry about when needed. So not a huge deal. It was just a thing that was like, we haven't got a car. We can't just, go for a drive to the park and, get a little walk. It was a bit of a hassle, but not a major thing. But then the thing about the form not being received by the deadline and nobody seeming to care, they're so, when you talk to the people at the DWP, it's just like they don't care. They really don't care. It was just the last straw for me yesterday. So I sat for about half an hour, sobbed my heart out. And then this morning I thought, right, I'll just get on with it and forget about it. There's nothing I can do. Let's just get on. So yesterday afternoon, I had actually put a note. You get, like, when you sign up for Universal Credit, it's all done online. and you get something called a journal. So if they want to say something to you, they put a note in the journal, and if you want to say something to them, you put a note in the journal and you're supposed to reply. So I put a note on the journal yesterday explaining that the form, the UC50, was received after the deadline, apparently. I find that pretty difficult to believe. And it had been sent back to them. If that was the case, what was happening? Could they let me know? So that was yesterday. This morning, got up with a renewed sense of positivity. And then a note came in on the journal from the Universal Credit. And it was a note to say, the first note was, here is an appointment for Warren to attend a work interview to check what he's been doing to look for work. You just think, what? And then the next note was, we have not received a fit note from Warren on the system, so he needs a fit note to decide the claim. And I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? It literally took me 2 seconds to scroll back through the journal to see the entry that said, fit note accepted on I think it was the 29th of July. And it lasts until the end of September. But because we'd sent the UC50 form in, we assumed that we wouldn't need any more fit notes for Warren. And have you ever felt like you're starting your head against a brick wall? I can't believe the idiocy of some of the people who work for DWP. Now, I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule. Some people will be really good at their job, but it's just, how can they put that on our journal saying, what's Warren been doing to look for work, when they know he has mantle cell lymphoma and is going through chemo and can't work, and we've sent the fit note in? I'm just, deep breath. I just feel like I'm going round in circles. Nobody's listening to it. Nobody wants to help her. We rang the Macmillan team, who said they couldn't help with deal with it. Ring the Citizens Advice Bureau. We have dealt with the Citizens Advice Bureau before, so we had a contact number for that lady. We rang them, just keep getting an answer phone, and she hasn't called her back. Not that I know if anybody can do anything. So I've put yet another note on the journal, on the Universal Credit page, explaining the situation again, and saying, can you read the entries? And we originally spoke to a lady called Rebecca, I think she was called, who was the head of the Gateshead department, who was really helpful. And I've said, can you get Rebecca from the Gateshead branch to call us? I have no idea whether they'll call us or not. It's Friday. I think because I sat and sobbed yesterday, I got it mostly out of my system. And today I'm like, I was going to do this video anyway, talking about money. And I had a half an hour where I thought, I can't cope. I can't cope with any more of it. It's just too much. I gave myself half an hour, then I put some makeup on. I thought, right, I'm doing the video. I'm not going to worry about it. It is what it is. I don't know. So I don't know what's happening with that. Maybe Warren will have to go for a work interview and say what he's doing and not look for work, or maybe he's going to have to get another fit note. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing there at all. But that is infuriating. Really, if anybody's ever dealt with anything like that, my heart goes out to you, because it is infuriating, so stressful. So that's the Universal Credit. I have to say, if we hadn't had this GoFundMe page that so many people, viewers of my channel, have contributed to, and people from my channel who have bought the books that I've created, I don't know what we would have done. I really think I do think I would have just been sat in a corner rocking. I don't know how I would have coped. So a thank you to everybody who did contribute, and contributed anyway, even if you just watched a video, that has helped me. So thank you for that. I will leave the link to the GoFundMe page in the description box below, just in case you want to go over and see how we're doing on there. I'm trying to keep that just for main bills. If you've already given, please don't feel that you have to give again, and don't feel that you have to give at all if you haven't given. I appreciate your support just on this channel, just by watching the videos. So the next thing money-wise is the PIP form, the Personal Independence Payment. We haven't had any updates from there. It is apparently with a medical assessor, and it can take 4 to 6 months for that to get sorted out. I don't even know whether we're going to get it or not, so I'm just not even trying to think about that. So that's the PIP form. The car, I've already mentioned, that's going for a scrap. Might get lucky, a couple £100 for it. That's that done. We don't need a car at the moment, so I'm not going to worry about that either. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, I spoke to my mortgage company. I've still got about 5 years left on the mortgage, and they have agreed to put our mortgage on hold for 3 months. After the end of the 3 months, I will have to pay a little bit extra each month on the mortgage. Now, that's going to take us up to probably middle of December. So some of the money from the GoFundMe page will go towards paying the mortgage after that, if we haven't got into a situation where we're able to pay it. So really grateful for that. But I just thought I would talk a little bit about the process of getting our mortgage put on hold. I had to fill in a income and expenditure form, and I found this to be a very demeaning, maybe is not the word I'm looking for, but I did feel so small talking to the person about my income and expenditure. I felt like I was begging for something. Yes, we owe them money. It is the mortgage. You've got to pay it. But I did feel really small when she was going through the form. So I just thought I would talk a little bit about that. There's lots of different entries on the form. And remember, at the time I filled this form in, we hadn't even got universal credit. So we had no money coming in. So the expenditure was whatever total it was. The income was 0. Or whatever little bits that I earn from YouTube. One of the entries on the income and expenditure form is for, it says food and household. Now, you're supposed to put down what you would spend on a normal month. And I had put £500, which works out at about £125 a week. That is just for me and Warren. That includes food, cleaning stuff, toiletries, pet food, because we've got a cat. So all of that. And when she asked me and I said 500, she said, that's a bit much for 2 people. And at the time, I kind of agreed with her. I kind of said, yeah, I'm trying to whittle that down. But then afterwards, I thought to myself, do you know, £125 a week isn't a lot. Leave me a comment below if you think £125 a week is a lot of money for 2 people for all of those things. So I was a little bit, I wish I'd said to her, where do you shop? What do you eat? I don't eat meat. Warren does eat meat. We have to eat kind of healthily, but we also want some treats. It's very stressful what we're going through, and I'm not going to have nothing. So that kind of got me down a little bit when she was talking about that. And then she goes through other things about, have you put money aside for restaurants and cafes? I'm thinking, what? How am I going to go out to a restaurant or a cafe, when my husband can't go out? And then she's talking about, well, what about cinema? What about alcohol? I think, are you actually hearing yourself here? Have you got money set aside for clothes? Yeah, of course. I'm just doing all the things I normally do. So, yeah, that really, that frustrated us. It made us feel small, but it also made us think a little bit. And it made us think about how I have been spending money in the past. Maybe if I had thought about money a little bit more, I wouldn't be in the financial situation that I am at the moment. If we'd saved, if we'd had critical illness cover, that kind of thing, we wouldn't be in this position. So I came across something on YouTube called cashstuffing. And it is where people take their variable expenses each week. They take the money out of the bank in cash. So they leave all their fixed expenses in the bank, things that are paid through the bank, like, you know, your gas and electric bills, your water bills, your insurance things, everything like that stays in the bank. It's just pretty much the variable bills that you take out in cash, and you have an envelope for each one, and you apportion, you work out your budget, you see how much you've got for those variable bills, and you apportion it out to fit that much that you've got left. And I thought that might be a really interesting thing for me to try. I think it is essential for me to do that at the moment when I've hardly got any money. And I think it might be a good thing to do once we do start getting a little bit more money, once we get back on our feet, touch wood, and once we start getting more money. I think that's going to be a good thing to do. I did do something very similar years ago when everybody got paid in cash. I used to have little envelopes that I used to put money in for food, money in for gas, money in for whatever it was. I used to do that back then and never thought about it since. But when I saw the videos, I thought I really like that idea. So I got this little folder. I think this was about £5 or something from Amazon. I worked out my budget. I worked out how much I had left for variable bills. So the variable bill, it's hard to say, the variable bills that I decided on was the food and household, a personal amount for me and a personal amount for Warren. So that's if we want, you know, anything just for ourselves. You know, I might fancy a lipstick, or Warren might fancy, I don't know, not a lipstick, whatever men buy. I've got an envelope for Ashton's birthday, my grandson's birthday. So once Ashton's birthday is come and gone, it will be the next person's birthday. I will start putting in there. I've got a Christmas envelope, even though I'm not sure what's happening this Christmas. Warren would possibly be in hospital over Christmas, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm assuming I'm going to need some cash of some description, because the grandkids will still want a small present. There will be some needs for that, and I wanted to start an emergency fund. That's not going to build very quickly, but I think an emergency fund is a good idea for things that, you know, that might go wrong, and that we can get sorted out. There is other things that I want to put on this variable list, like things like entertainment. If we did want to go out for a meal, if we were able to, you know, if we wanted a day out somewhere. Clothes for me and Warren, although we really don't need clothes at the moment. An envelope for the opticians, even though we don't pay for eye tests, we've still got to pay for the frames of the glasses, so we would need money set aside for that, and money set aside for vet bills, if anything needs to, you know, be done with Milo. If she needs something, we need money set aside for that. Unfortunately, she wasn't very well the other week, and we couldn't take her to the PDSA because they weren't taking on any more clients because they were full, apparently. So we did have to take her to a local vet, and my son ended up having to pay for that. So we need to have a little money set aside for that. So in this folder is, you get the little envelopes, and you can see I've already started to put money in. So one for groceries. I have set myself £100 a week for groceries, for household and food. I'm hoping that I can do it so I'm not spending that much. So eventually I can see if I can whittle that down. At the moment, I'm really not sure if I can, but we'll see how that goes. So we've got groceries. We've got the personal one for me, personal for Warren, Ashton's birthday, they've just got a £5 each in them at the moment. Christmas, got a tenner in it. Emergencies has got a tenner in it. And then I've got all of the other envelopes that I've just talked about that haven't got anything in it. They may have in the future. But I've had to work this budget out over a 5-week period because I knew exactly how much money I was going to be getting in within that 5 weeks. After that, I really don't know. So I just worked it out over that. So I'm going to try and stick to underneath the £100 a week in food and household. I think that should be fairly easy this week because we can eat the stuff that we've already got in, but we'll see how we go after that. And I will update you weekly or fortnightly on this cash stuffing task that I'm trying to do. So I did find this little file very helpful. It came with the little plastic envelopes that have got the zipper locks on them. It's got some little budget sheets at the back. I've actually typed mine out and printed them on one of these things. I've always budgeted, had a spreadsheet for it for years and done it that way. But I think when you use your bank account for everything, it's so easy to not realise how much you're spending. And I know in the past, I've looked back through my bank statements and I have been shocked at the amount of money that I've spent in supermarkets or that I've spent just going to coffee shops and things. So I think this will be useful, even though I'm being forced into it. I think this will be really useful to do for now and in the future. So that was my rant about money. It's a good job I didn't do this video yesterday because I would have just been a complete mess and I wouldn't have been able to get through it. But I'm back on track today. I'm feeling positive. I'm not going to worry about what I can't control. And unfortunately, you can't control people at the DWP. So we'll just have to see how that goes and I will keep you updated on it. So thank you for watching this. I hope you found it a little bit interesting. If you do cash stuffing, let us know in the description box below. I would be interested to know. So I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.